away the Thresh and banning the Alistar, it feels like you can kind of plug and play Alistar into most situations that Thresh is a reliable pick. What are they prioritizing, and what champions can you not let Anarchy have?
Yeah, I think that Anarchy is so dangerous on red side with that counter pick because we know Mickey can take over games on Zed. In that way, maybe you ban Zed here. The question for me is whether Anarchy will be the first team to not ban Victor against Kuro, because it's just been blanket banned against the KOO Tigers ever since he was re-enabled on 510.
And it is a champion who is susceptible to all-in assassins that plays right into Mickey's champion pool. So that would be quite the gambit to throw open, but Kuro innovating Victor, at least in terms of the competitive play in the last 6 to 8 months, it hasn't been sin, but it's possible.
So now I'm a little bit worried. The Hecarim, actually a ban, even though we know Smeb is a great Gnar player and maybe could deal with that in the laning phase. The issue I see here is now that Zed and Thresh are still available.
Rise also.
Yeah.
Not a lot of auto-ban champions actually banned away. Finally, we see one of the standard champion bans in Alistar join the ban pool. Thresh takeaway would maybe solve things, but if you're Anarchy, there's a potential that you could ban the Rise, leave it open. What do you do here? Because Smeb, has he played the Rise this season?
No. I mean, he hasn't had an option to, I don't think. So that would be a definite first pick, but they're going to give away Gragas or Rise or both. Evelyn going to be the ban. So Anarchy going to get the Gragas at the least. And Lyra's great on that champion.
Gragas Thresh could actually be the duo picked away, but no, Kallista's available.
This has been a weird ban phase. A lot being left up at the moment. Rise the priority though. And look at this. What is Ixu going to play in this game? They banned out the two big champions we've seen Ixu rely on so far. They get the Rise. So you have to believe that Smeb, is this big-time carry top laner right now, is just going to have a field day with Ixu.
There's so much available as Kuro does lock in the Victor that's been perma-banned against him this season.
My. Well, this is going to be interesting at least.
I feel like Ixu almost has to opt into the Rumble. That's the only pick that he's shown that kind of doesn't necessarily deal well with Rise, but can go competitive in lane. Is good to gank for. Kallista and Cannon was the duo they picked when they beat KT and is available again now. Mickey picking Echo this early will be a surprise, but it is certainly possible.
Yeah, I'm really a little bit confused by what's going on here in this draft, just because, I mean, look, Sivir hasn't even been picked yet. The Kallista the priority, and now KOO has that opportunity to get a big engage with Sivir, Annie, and Rise.
This is not the worst game to lock in Yasuo, but what a gambit it would be.
I would be impressed.
Because Gragas, of course, excellent synergy with the Yasuo. I don't see why you would commit to it this early. Of course, you are picking against a Victor that's already been locked in. We're waiting for the timer to run down. We are expecting the Cannon, but goes for the Cassin, the more reliable option. Now remember, they don't have Sivir this game. They've already opted into Kallista. They're regular wave clear options. I mean, Sivir has that instant line wave clear. Kallista's no slouch when she gets some time, so maybe you have to go Hurricane Kallista in this particular situation. But Sivir's been available, was always going to be the answer, and this is quite the draft being put together by the KOO Tigers.
This is like, oh no, not the Praven. He always trolls this because his Draven play is among the worst that I have ever seen from a pro player. Yes, the Sivir is, he knows it too. That's the whole joke now, is Bray trolls himself.
But what a lineup that KOO has put together. Now you even have the On the Hunt to synergize and help Rise get into the backline with that flat movement speed to complement the Desperate Power ultimate. Anarchy are left having to pick a support. No, they have a support. Of course, we're expecting Cannon, so they're thinking about the top laner. Do you have to opt into Rumble here? And where do you go? As you mentioned, Hecarim and Maokai, those were the two expected picks. Both of them banned out.
The problem is that you're so low damage in the early game if you have the Rumble. Kallista's great at the 1v1s and at bullying in lane and securing objectives, but not the highest damage pickup.
Are they thinking about Gragas top?
Or Lee top? I don't really know what you would play into this Rise. You have to have kill pressure up there, and that may be the answer. It's certainly terrible late. Okie dokie.
So we don't know what to expect in the top lane. Lee Sin, of course, good AD scaling, good in lane, but doesn't really scale with items well. Gragas could go Rod of Ages, maybe like Nautilus and other champs, and honestly go a similar build to Ryze, except not have to build the tier. Excellent ranged wave clear. Maybe this is their source of wave clear. Get a bit of AP onto Gragas. Okay, you have to wait for the barrel to hit that red stack, let it sit there for a couple of seconds, but it gives the wave clear that this team kind of desperately needs.
Yeah, that is very true. That wave clear is such a big factor right now. And honestly, with the way the KOO Tigers have been playing early, they have such great pushing potential with the Sivir and the Victor quickly in this game that they could really snowball off of tower kills. And you talk about Rod of Ages, well, that's a lot of scaling between a Kassadin and a top Gragas. And that Kalista doesn't put out enough damage in the mid game to really do anything at all to the KOO Tigers.
You'll remember though, Sungyun went Hurricane first on Kalista. The first time we saw that in Champions this season. You could still go Righteous Glory and Gragas and deal with the base damages. The Q base damage is quite high. It would still provide the wave clear. Very interesting to see how Anarchy play around the top side of the map, because Gragas is a great lane for Lee Sin to gank for.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Smeb going to have to play very safe, but Smeb the kind of player that can really just haul his team to a victory in the late game. Anarchy versus KOO. Let's get into game one. It's time for some Pirate Rise.
Silence.
Oh, wow.
Anarchy fans.
There are none, apparently.
But there was good Anarchy chants the last time we saw. In fact, it looked like their fan group was growing. So that's, I don't know if that affects the confidence of the players. We'd hope not, but interesting to see.
They can't hear it, Bubba Smith. They're in booths.
That's fair. I'm not used to booths, Monte Cristo.
So
this is a really interesting draft in a lot of ways. Now, you're giving away Ryze to a carry top laner like Smeb. And when I say carry top laner, I mean he has that kind of identity. He plays Riven top. He's basically innovative Riven top this season, 3-0 on that champion. Ryze's carry potential against a melee champion. It's a scary lane for Gragas, but Gragas has sustain, Gragas has ranged wave clear, and he's a great lane for Lee Sin to gank for. So you have to expect a lot of tension up top. You're isolating Mickey against Kuro on the Kassadin versus Victor matchup. We know that this matchup goes very decently for Kassadin. His only issue is he doesn't have the wave clear to match the line wave clear of Victor.
Yeah, and that's the big issue here is how long can Anarchy hold on to their towers? Because if KOO gets early turrets and they're allowed to start grouping up before these Rod of Ages, which we're assuming Ixu is also going to buy, really start to stack up, that is going to be a massive problem. They've balanced it out with the early game potency of the Ken and Kalista lane and the Lee Sin, but there's a lot of weakness on the top side of the map from Anarchy.
We might see a different identity from Snowflower this time on the Ken, and we noted previously that it was Kennen picked into Alistair last time, and of course doesn't have the engage option. In this game, there is decent backline dive potential. It's probably going to have to be Peel, but it is there.
Yeah, Snowflower and Songyun actually took the small golem at the blue buff right there, and they gave all of that experience over to Snowflower. So let's see what he's going to hit level 2 fast here, off of the first wave, more than likely. So what are they planning to do with this? And they're going to need 1 or 2 more minions. But it is going to be slightly early.
Of course, does have CC potential at level 2. It's difficult to pull off, given the cooldowns on Q and E, I guess, but certainly possible.
Well, our observer noticed that they got it and then decided not to actually follow up with that. He did hit level 2 and take a chunk out of Gorilla, but nothing really happening there. And now Ixu going to be teleporting into top lane, and that W really going to hurt.
And it's only level 1 W. This lane probably change at level 4. That's when melee range auto attack's probably going to be difficult for the Gragas.
And there we go. 100% win rate on Victor for Kuro. 100% win rate on Kassadin for Mickey. So somebody's streak will be snapped tonight. And Praying Gorilla just down here playing a little bit safe as they would want to in this bottom side until maybe they can get level 6 and actually affect an all-in.
It's unique, this game, in a lot of ways, especially with the Gragas vs. Ryze matchup in top lane on patch 5.10. But to me, the unique factor is itemization is no given for most of the champions on this map. I feel like playing around your item power spikes might actually dictate how the early game goes, because we expect Anarchy to opt into lots of power chops, but they don't 100% have to outside of Mickey on Kassadin.
And the question here, too, is will Prey do what we've seen some Sivers do and actually build Bloodthirster first? Because that's not a bad option in this game. If they want to get that really fast siege and punish the lack of wave clear, it could be quite good.
A lot of incidental damage coming through from Anarchy. Lots of magic damage in general. Gragas, Kassadin, even Kennen does very high base damages. So the Bloodthirster on a 500 range champion like Sivir might allow him to disregard the overshield, just position more aggressively. So I wouldn't mind that adaptation. But there's no guarantee. A lot of Sivers happy to pick up BF Sword, Pickaxe into an Avarice Blade, and just go the standard IE route.
Yes, indeed. And now, just an early recall for a tier. So Smeb had saved his TP, so he's able to start stacking that item immediately. And he's just going to catch that wave very easily. The mid and top of the KOO Tigers been playing back a little bit this game, and that's prevented Lyra from getting an angle onto Kuro. He was looking for one just a little bit ago. Got a ward down. We'll see Wisdom. But Wisdom going to be right there as Kuro shoves that lane forward.
In the late game, Kalista is going to be so safe, Monte Cristo. We see lots of hyper carry comps. The likes of Jinx get preyed upon by a Hecarim, but Kalista this game, Explosive Cask disengage, Lee Sin kick disengage, and the Slicing Maelstrom probably going to be used for peel. Maybe this is the game to go into the Hurricane and maybe opt into fights around the Dragon, because very early in this game, it's going to be hard to get on top of this Kalista.
Yeah, but you only need that one pick with the Annie to make that very difficult. Wisdom wants to start ganking into this bottom side. There is no Lee Sin there. He is up counter jungling at top. There's the flash W. Wisdom's here. He's going to punish that flash immediately. Songyun goes down for first blood for Wisdom. That was some great patience, actually. Not even showing until the flash had already been used by Songyun.
Still a very common spot to gank for Monte Cristo. It needs to start being warded around 5 minutes into the game. You do fall prey to what is a Shaco-esque gank route that has a very high rate of success.
Yeah, that is definitely true, but you know, you can't ward everywhere.
No, it's true.
However, you also have a Kalista, so we could talk about the fact that there weren't any Sentinels there also.
You could path your Sentinel around the blue buff and check that brush. Look, it's not 100% reliable, but at least making the token effort to appease us analysts needs to happen.
And that's what I like.
Being appeased.
Being appeased. That's basically all I look for in life.
That's a pretty good way to go.
Okay, well.
Look at the CS in mid lane. Mickey's up 15 CS against a Victor. CSing is usually not a big problem for Victor. Maybe that's just poor use of mana in terms of balancing harass and wave clear, but that strikes me as a pretty damn big advantage.
Yeah, it is, but Kuro also has been playing really defensively this game. He hasn't really had much jungle support, and Lyra was on the hunt for a kill right there, so he may be making this decision consciously. Smeb with a CS advantage, and then the first blood being picked up in the bottom lane does even things out for this Sivir as well. And they're going to be able to opt into another all-in once Gorilla hits 6. So we'll see. But again, we've talked about this. Mickey getting out of control is Anarchy's ticket to victory a lot of the time.
In the interview after their previous series, they talked about adapting their playstyle around ganking mid. I'm pretty sure that's always been their playstyle. I'm going to point my finger at that particular interview and say, look, playing around Mickey is definitely Anarchy's primary win condition. The items, we wanted to discuss them. It is the recurve bow first. Now, we've seen plenty of recurve bow into BF Sword Bloodthirster rushes, but Songyun is the unique player that does like to prioritize the Hurricane early. It gives you a lot of wave pushing advantages, but also pigeonholes you into pushing because, of course, can't freeze the wave when the bolts are hitting the other minions.
I mean, I'm just not a fan of the Hurricane first, but I do think that in this particular situation, due to the team comp that Anarchy is running, it is the smarter choice.
Stay back, have lots of peel for the Kalista. At risk, of course, of the flash tibbers, but then just stay back and ensure that you're not in range. And the itemization at top, it's probably not going to be a lot of aggression by Mickey onto KOO. It looks like it's not going to be Rod of Ages, given that it's not going to be the Catalyst finished first, but certainly leaving the options open. I'm thinking Righteous Glory and a Spectre's Cowl.
Yeah, the Glory could definitely be a pretty solid item, and just turning him into a tank instead of much more of a damage threat. But again, if he has no damage, this team really lacks mid-game punch at all. They just don't have enough damage to really deal with the Tigers comparatively. I mean, that Victor Ryze Sivir combo is going to be extraordinarily high damage.
Kassadin and Callista do damage eventually. You'd
Eventually.
say Ryze does as well, but when I say eventually, I don't necessarily mean 30 minutes. I mean over time they have good consistent damage, especially after level 11. Mickey will have fairly short cooldown, can get in and out of fights. It's just the fact that you're also opting into an extended team fight against a Ryze, and if we've learned anything, is that Ryze does incredible damage, even in a 1v2 scenario.
And there's Songyun, gets caught again, nailed by the Tibbers. Snowflower reacts with an ultimate of his own, but that is Gorilla and Prey once again getting a kill, except this time it goes on to Prey instead of Wisdom. Very easy all in.
Didn't even need the flash from Gorilla either, so just must have been too aggressive positioning from Songyun.
Songyun didn't have flash either, so
True.
It's pretty easy to land that Tibbers. You basically can't even walk anywhere close to that brush based on the Tibbers range, or you're going to get hit by it. So good all in right there. Prey will be going for an Infinity Edge first. And how much can they do? Can they get this tower before the big wave clear completes from Songyun is going to be the question. They don't want to go for a dragon after that kill, interestingly enough. Now, Lyra, again, let's talk about the vision from this team, because that is definitely one of Anarchy's strengths. He saw that, the recall came in. Look how many wards just in a moment went into that bottom side jungle, so they can keep eyes on that duo lane.
I mean, the pressure is off multiple lanes. In fact, all lanes can play super aggressively. You see in top, there's a pink and a red ward, so Ixu has complete information about basically every gank path. Kassadin has a lot of information about the red side jungle as well. There's only so many places on the map that Wisdom can be and not be accounted for, so pinpoint warding. It didn't even take a code. They had this before Hachani even joined the lineup.
And also, there's not even a Sightstone on the jungler yet, and they still have warding this good. This is just something that keeps impressing me about Anarchy, is how much information they're able to get early in the game.
All I can speculate is that their item timings must be very purposeful. You can see 2 green wards in the inventory of both Kassadin and Lee Sin, both mobile, able to get more aggressive wards than standard mid laners who don't have that mobility. They're very smart about lighting up the wards, even on the relatively low-income early game.
They'll clear a ward also out of that river. That's one less pink for the KOO Tigers, who are warding a bit more defensively this game. Happy with the lead they've gotten so far. Kuro still falling behind in CS. Mickey has a very early Rod of Ages, super early Rod of Ages.
It was about 10 minutes, I believe 1 minute on the timer, so we're thinking 21 minutes when it'll be at full power.
I mean, Mickey also really hasn't even missed any CS yet. We can see right there, doing incredibly well in that lane.
He's dueling here against Wisdom. Wisdom's follow, but the Q misses. They're going to re-engage, actually. There's the ultimate from Victor. They're going in aggressive. Mickey's going to pick up the kill, but at what cost? Probably going to live. The spell shield dies. Ixu teleports in and going to get aggressed on actually here.
And there's the Tibbers as well. Ixu under the turret does body slam out. But that was a good teleport from Smeb to help secure the 2 kills. Picks one up for himself as well. And this is the danger. When that wave clear is not there and you have the Victor and the Sivir in the lane, goodbye mid-turret.
Songyun's walked in very aggressively. The turret's probably not going to fall. Kuro can't get an auto attack in, but it might as well be dead. This is the sort of turret health where Wisdom can just tunnel in, kill the turret, and go for what would have been a turret dive.
Honestly, Gorilla should have just stunned him right there and then taken the last auto on the turret. That definitely could have been taken safely by the KOO Tigers. Let's watch this replay again, though, because Wisdom just clearing out a pink ward.
And Mickey's the one that caused this fight to happen. Went in very aggressive. Got the nice burst onto Wisdom. But the moment that the Q missed from Lyra, they probably should have backed away. It was always going to be, at best, an even trade after that. Very nice teleport from Smeb. Ixu can't make much happen. He's smart in getting away. Watch for the flash body slam. Doesn't get interrupted by the Tibbers, so it's nicely done there.
Yeah, really good mechanics on that. And also, I wanted to point out that Smeb had such a good read on that situation. He TP'd on the high ground and instantly flashed to finish off Lyra, because what happened was Kuro moved the Chaos Storm onto Mickey to kill him, and he knew that with Smeb's positioning and the flash up that the kill on Lee Sin would have been secured. So like that's great communication and teamwork. That's very impressive.
The target selection of a settled lineup playing well. It's very hard to communicate in those small areas. Trying to create pressure around Dragon, but Dragon's already been DPS down. And first Dragon goes down to KOO.
I mean, that's just a situation where the KOO Tigers, or just one, but instead the maximization of their resources and knowing which abilities are up and which summoners are up allows them to pick up 2 instead.
So now they're in an awkward position here, Anarchy, because Snowfire's gone for the roam, which has paid a lot of dividends on champions like Thresh. Issue is that the Hurricane is completed on Kalista, and she can't even enter lane. She has to push if she does get to the minion wave. Of course, KOO has had all this pressure around the Dragon, and now the enemy blue buff finally groups back with Kalista, but I feel like KOO are going to understand their ascendancy is primarily around the bottom side of this map.
And I'm just so impressed by the KOO Tigers, because we talked about it to death last season and early this season. And remember how the KOO Tigers started out this season. There was a game where they didn't even get a kill until after 40 minutes. We never questioned their shot calling, their side wave control, their team fighting ability. These were all great. Their pick and ban was strong for the most part. It was just that they played games where they got themselves in so much of an early hole that they just couldn't see out of it anymore and had to frantically play from behind. Sure, they got wins out of that because they were so good at all of these other factors, but it wasn't reliable, and they needed to fix it. And they've really come in the middle of this season and radically changed how aggressive they are on the map. I'm sure adding Wisdom helped to a certain degree. I'm sure the lessening of the Cinderhulk meta and the ability to play more aggressively again in the early game helped to a certain degree. But I think it's something that they really focused on, and I think it's something that Nofe in particular has been very successful in instilling into this team quickly.
I think it's plain to see across the board that the level of champions has gone up this season. A lot of the teams have gotten a lot better as we miss off-screen what we can only assume was an instant pick onto Cannon.
I mean, Soulflower didn't even have time to flash, so yes. Seems like that is the answer. Prey and Gorilla continue to terrorize this bottom lane.
But as the level of players improve, it just means that the previous weakness of KOO, just in their laning phase and their mechanical issues, we're going to see a replay of what we can only assume is instant death for Snowflower. Yep.
Wow,
dead.
That was a great combo from Prey to the follow-up there. Just auto, ricochet, boomerang blade for what? Oh, goodbye, Songyun. Okay, well, it's like Anarchy just coming apart at the seams now.
And KOO playing around the Hurricane and the fact that it's so easy to prey upon Songyun. He can't even enter lane. He tried entering lane with his support spot, went to ward, died instantly, let himself get denied in the brush, and died anyway.
This is what I hate about the Hurricane build, Papa Smithy. If you get into a team fight and you can hit like 3 people multiple times, and Ixu's just going to be chain CC'd right here. Oh, gets out with the body slam actually, but not before he takes half his health bar in damage.
Has a lot of sustain coming through from the passive and the Spirit Visage. I think this is a fine matchup. If you're thinking about champions that can build tank, but also lane against Ryze, there's a very shallow pool, so of course ban Ryze is the obvious thing to take away from that, but Gragas has good base damages on his wave clear, and he hasn't been denied. In fact, he's 10 CS up.
And here's Gorilla doing those Gorilla things, coming into lane. His flash is still up. He didn't even have to use it because he got face checked.
Doesn't have tippers though.
Doesn't have ults, but will that matter? And there's the continued W spam though that's going to go down. Flash for the chain, and that's going to be it. Sure, you can knock away the Annie, but that doesn't really help you not get CC'd by Smeb.
For the first time in 17 minutes, the pressure is relieved from Kalista, and of course instantly applied in the top lane. Very nice rotation from KOO. They knew that Dragon hadn't spawned. They're going to take more standing gold off this map, and it's going back to what you said. What's going to be alive by the time that Kassadin hits 10 stack Rod of Ages and Kalista gets damage? Answer's probably not much.
Oh my, Smeb coming in from a flank actually, used his CP not to the turret, but just to go after Songyun. What a bold play. Ward, and goodbye Songyun.
It wasn't that bold, Monte Cristo. He has the targeted CC. It's already level 5, so of course long enough to hit a point-blank Q.
I thought that wouldn't be quite so one-sided.
You were building up to a Jaws moment, and it certainly was one. But yeah, Sungyun, 0-4-0 with just a Hurricane. There's still that miracle fight where Kalista somehow mops up, but it's fast window for that closing.
Yeah, it was. Well, another turret in the top side, a successful defense and a kill. I mean, KOO just playing the map absolutely beautifully.
They were invited to by this team comp, though. They had the wave clear advantage. They had the strong lanes and the ganking jungler. But they're playing to their win conditions early and acting on them, rather than their previous win conditions, which were Trinity Force, group up, and try and brute force down turrets. This is KOO adapting in what was always going to be a more difficult season as every team around them got better. They spammed the solo queue, their mechanics are on point. Suddenly, laning phase is no longer a big disadvantage as we could see the engage.
Prey actually going to get ignited on the side. Mickey may take him out. Gorilla actually finds himself under the tower. Prey makes it out. Somehow, he's going to turn it around and take down a full HP Mickey with the help of Kuro. But that is 1 for 2 in favor of Anarchy.
These are the sort of trades that definitely favor the scaling teams. That's good picks coming through, but Smeb's still really healthy. We're going to see the engage from Snowfire, goes into the backline. Smeb's still alive. We've seen Rises turn this around, but dies, and Kalista has consistent damage. This is a big team fight win for Anarchy.
Absolutely. They find the pick on the side there. Smeb getting kicked into a wall by Lyra for maximum CC, and KOO Tigers a little bit crazy here. And, you know, we did see this from KOO. We did see this when they played against Venu. They really over-invaded, over-pressured, and then found themselves at a disadvantage. Great engage from Ixu, though. Really nice, again, mechanically on this Gragas. And Gorilla just has to drop the Tibbers in a not particularly effectual way. And while Prey dies right here, this should be the end. The KOO Tigers need to get out and just defend their turret at this point, but you can see they want to fight here. Remember, Smeb not exactly at his peak power yet.
And they see Kalista at this point. They know they're opting into a 3v4. That's the big question. Maybe not accounting for the CC, but as you mentioned, Smeb, he was basically CC the entirety of that fight. Couldn't do the consistent damage and healing that the multiple spell rotations provide, and it's good team fighting from Anarchy.
And Kuro really just had the mana for one Chaos Storm right there, and there was no more follow-up damage from him, so KOO did this. Remember that fight against Spenu where they walked into the blue buff after being like 7-1 in kills? Interesting pattern we're seeing here. Pretty much exactly that same situation in this game. And that not going to be too good.
No, you have to regard it almost as an unforced error. They had the information. They even knew that they would be outnumbered. Maybe just overhyping Rise's power spike, not incorporating the fact that the CC is very strong on the Anarchy side. Now, they're going to try the Dragon. It looks like Anarchy don't have the vision to be able to compete, but they're at least going to have a look.
Yeah, they're going to get some damage onto Kuro. There's the explosive cast. Kuro, or Gorilla rather, has some flash backwards. Mickey on the flank. They're going to try and burn him down with the Chaos Storm. Flash from Wisdom. There's the Boomerang Blade over the wall. Snowflower gets the engage. And now the death rays really start coming through. Smeb is dead. Prey is moving forward. They need to kill Songyun. They're going to get Songyun. Lyra with a double kill, though. And this should be cleanup for the Tigers now that they have the victors still up. Prey Seeker, not enough. There's the slow. Will Wisdom get another tunnel? The answer is negative.
And 3 for 3, even trade despite being 5,000 gold behind. Suits Anarchy once again. They will lose the Dragon. It's only a second one, but Anarchy trading evenly after the early game that KOO had is only good for Anarchy.
Absolutely, and it was really just a great flank from Mickey right there to catch Gorilla. I mean, Gorilla had to flash out because he got hit again in the front line by Ixu and then just got cleaned up. So Gorilla not in the best position at the start of that Dragon, and not really enough vision control really from KOO. And Anarchy's emphasis on wards does allow them to make plays like this from time to time.
But remember, if you have an emphasis on wards, that means you're spending gold on it. It means that the gold lead that was 5,000 before that fight is probably an implied 6 or 6,500, because it's not just sightstones, it's green wards they were picking to delay their items. To go 3 for 3 when you're spending all that extra gold on those consumables, again shows the power of Anarchy's comp with Bloodthirster and now Hurricane completed. I'm just excited that this is a competitive game after a 12-minute start that looked like KOO is going to run over this Anarchy team in 25 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Anarchy making a bid to get back into this game. Songyun now going to get a tower. That's going to put things within about 2.5.
And standing gold actually accounts for most of the advantage. It's only 2 turrets and 3,000 gold the advantage for KOO. We wondered how long KOO could keep their foot on the accelerator and take down turrets and take down as much standing gold as possible. They've done the minimum in taking out the outer ring of turrets, but no more than that just yet.
That's right. Well, they've held on to all of theirs up until that 1 kill, but if those outers go down, we are going to be looking at a dead even game, except in terms of that dragon. Smeb walking up with this wave. He's going to try and save his turret, pop his ult to do so, and just clear out the wave.
And even the sound effect from that desperate power is scary. It's enough to cause Ixu to scamper away. I guess to me, you don't like Hurricane Kalista, and I can understand that. There's definitely a lot of scenarios where the bolts don't mean much. When you have this much peel, and especially when you've been so thoroughly denied, it's a huge 2-item power spike. And okay, the 3rd, the 4th item aren't going to add a lot of power, but given the scenario, being able to have this much power despite being so far behind your lane opponent is kind of a unique thing that only Kalista can really offer from the AD carry role.
It's just a matter of whether you actually are able to hit multiple bolts at a team fight is the issue for me, because you need to be able to really put a lot of that damage down on many targets, and it's difficult to get into that position.
And in a lot of comps, I agree. If Hecarim's running at you and you're going to be zoned and only get 70% attack speed because there's no bolts coming onto anyone else, absolutely 100%. But when it's Ryze who's just going to pop those Nikes and run straight at you, or the tunnel is going to come through, assuming you, of course, avoid the gorilla stun, there's a lot of potential that there'll be 2 people in fairly melee range or 300 range running at you, and I feel like Kalista should be able to do work as Snowflower celebratory ultimate.
Yeah, he's gotta create the lightning circle around you. Not sure that must have just been he hit his key wrong or something like that, because didn't really see a reason for him to be ulting right there.
It's a light party, you know, just chilling in the mid lane, having a party.
The electric rave going on with Kassadin. I mean, Kassadin looks like he could go to a rave. He's got that gas mask thing going on. I know that's what happens at with all the kids at the EDM dancing music festivals.
What do you know about the kids at the raves, Monte Cristo?
That's not appropriate for on air.
Fair.
All right, TP, Smeb with the home guards. They want the flank, they want the engage. What can they catch right here? They're able to zone off 2 members. And there's a W, actually gets on to goodbye, Songyun.
Songyun.
Oh, smoked right there.
Didn't have flash, no way to get out, so they get the pick. No objective to take. They're probably going to try and take this inner turret. There's good wave clear from Gragas. He can just ult to reset the wave, but too much for KOO to pick up.
Are they actually going to go here and try and dive this? Wisdom with a very aggressive zone play.
Tibbers still available, no flash on Annie.
No, Tibbers is up.
My apologies, still just a refresh of the timer. There he is, the big Care Bear on the screen.
And taking a tower with him. Now they're just going to give 50 gold to Mickey, I guess. Not sure about that one. Don't need to give up the Tibbers like that.
Speaking of 50 gold, there's 2 Scuttle Crabs on the map. One of them just died.
Prey's still alive though, so
probably gives more than 50 gold as well.
He's worth what, 6 Scuttle Crabs?
6 Scuttle Crabs. Yeah. The dream of every jungler.
Okay.
We wondered where the builds would go this game, so we have some time now to check them out. Spirit Visage into Frozen Heart, so cooldown tank is what we expected. Maybe less flat health to synergize with the passive that the Righteous Glory might have provided. So I like building for the happy hour and having the extra 600 health just so that 2% or whatever the stat is at the moment is impactful, but very, very tanky nonetheless is the Gragas.
Indeed he is, and thinking about it is just his percent damage reduction that he has too.
Sure.
Very, very strong.
And his base damage is one of the reasons why he's so relevant as a jungler. No longer needs to build AP. Okay, the barrels don't hit as hard, but the Drunken Rage, the slow and the damage, means that he's always relevant as long as he lives, and with all the extra gold, he should be both sticky and long surviving in fights.
Yeah, that first auto attack really hurts with the Drunken Rage. All right, well, KOO now wanting to play around this Dragon and the Baron, only with a 4K gold lead, and it's not going to be a flash for Gorilla to repeat the feat onto Songyun in this next fight. No TP home guard either for the Ryze, so pretty different conditions for the KOO Tigers as they head into this next objective. Anarchy definitely going to have a much easier time when it comes to... Uh-oh. Bye, Mickey. Never mind. And that's why you don't use melee champions to clear wards.
He was actually clearing a Rek'Sai tunnel. So 5 gold or your life. Don't know quite about the exchange rate there, and this should be another turret. The wave clear's not there from Anarchy. They might try a desperation engage, but it's risky.
And there you go. Ixu gets locked immediately, put in the rune prison, and he'll die there. Zongyun as well. Lots of prison deaths this game. And they're just going to push forward.
It's really weird engage in a 5v4 scenario against Rise, who has that targeted regular CC. They're at minimum going to lose their inhibitor in a situation where Anarchy could have just backed away and lost an outer turret.
Yep, inhibitor down. KOO moves into total control of this game. How much are they going to go for right here? They have 20 seconds. They get another tower. I don't think they're going to get much more than that. Snowflower just gets it destroyed with another stun. They're kind of just walking one by one into anti-stuns this game.
And they literally lost the maximum from the one pick onto
It
Cassidy.
doesn't get much worse.
They lost 3 turrets and 2 inhibitors and re-engaged 5v4 and died as well. So Anarchy, you had a great series against Samsung. You were actually looking very competitive in this game, but you just basically gifted an 8,500 gold lead to KOO.
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive series of errors there from Anarchy, starting with Mickey getting very close to a brush against an Annie where Gorilla didn't even have to flash for that. He just simply walked up and tibbered him.
I can confirm for the viewers that he did clear the Rek'Sai tunnel, so 5 gold for that.
That's worth 5 gold for the game.
Snowfire getting pretty cute. Gets caught out in this situation. Fate's Call is used defensively, so he will live. Not sure why they keep contesting areas where they don't have wards. Warding has been their biggest strong suit in the few victories they've picked up, but it's kind of letting them down at this point, understandably, given that they've lost almost the entirety of their base.
Well, can they actually steal this Baron? It is their final hope, really, in this series, and that is a negative. So now they have no hope. And what do we do with no hope?
They need a new hope. Unfortunately, that's only going to be game 2, as far as I can tell.
Where is Luke Skywalker when you need him?
They have Snowflower. Sounds like Skywalker.
I suppose, very generally.
Don't know if he's been granting them any advantages with his lightning parties in the mid lane. His use of the Force, questionable.
Well, if he was a Sith, his use of lightning might be quite impressive.
It's true.
All right, here we go. Nice-ish explosive cast.
I like how you reevaluated the explosive cast there.
Well, it kept them off the turret for about 3 seconds.
Smeb is basically God mode on Rise with the Banshee Veil completed. Can disrespect everyone on the lineup. All the peel we talked about, at least one of those peel spells is going to be completely negated. Baron to buff super minions. Means this game is only on a very short timer.
Final inhibitor will go down. KOO just looking for that very clean win, taking out every objective. Lyric actually going to kick Wisdom back. Wisdom flashes. There's the lightning party, but it's too late. Gorilla gets a counter Tibbers down, and this is the part where everyone on Anarchy dies. Even Mickey. Goodbye.
Not quite enough Riftworks there. Very nice win from KOO. Very clean game. There was a 10-minute period where Anarchy had a chance, and that's probably a significant thing given how the first 10 minutes went, but KOO in the end just preyed upon the rookie mistakes of Anarchy. Unfortunately, they crept back into their play, made those unforced errors. The 4v5 engage by Gragas really sticking out.
Yeah, I'm a bit curious, though, about the KOO Tigers as well, because this is the second game in a row where they come out with just guns blazing. They play a very clean early game. They pick up a bunch of kills, and then they just overextend. They try and push their lead just a little bit too fast, and they get punished for it, and then they take dumb fights.
So would you say that they've arrested their 0 to 15-minute weaknesses and moved them from 15 to 25 minutes?
I don't think it's quite that bad yet, because it's never really like Anarchy was on par with them